Welcome back to part 2 of my Cragheart Let's Paint series. Hopefully you enjoyed the first video and you want to see more of that and see if you still continue to like it. We're going to keep working on Cragheart and this time start diving into more detail since the first video was spent mostly on base colors. Without further ado, let's get started. Alright, so for this episode, we're going to be working on his skin primarily, and then we'll see where we get. So it's been about 20 minutes for me, but it's been probably a day for you. So hopefully you want to watch this second part, but we're going to be using Prussian blue. From Vallejo's model color. And Prussian blue, I think, is one of the nicest dark blue colors that you can get without mixing. And I've changed to another brush. This is a brush that I'm going to, I don't know if the review will come up before or after this video. But if it's before, you can go check out that review. If it's after, then just know I'm so far really liking it. This is from Green Stuff World. Here it is. Green Stuff World. It's a Kolinsky. This is number 1 brush. So let's see. We'll start on his hands here. And now he has a lot of lines on his body. Pretty much everywhere on his body. He's got little lines for the rocks. And your job is to color in every single piece of him that is not in those gaps, whether they're gaps between his fingers or gaps within each finger. You have to have thin paint. This is where you do want thin paint, and the reason why is you want it to run off the brush really easily. And I like to jump around on a model. That gives it more chance for it to dry by the time I'm done. To go back and look to see if I need to add more or whatnot. But you're going to try to cover as much as you can. And so you might be thinking, well, why didn't I like dry brush and then do the wash or whatnot? And the main reason is that I don't want to darken down this blue any more than it already was. I kind of want him to be brightly colored overall. It's in a really bad placement. Let me move it back over here. There we go. I don't want him to be very dark overall. And so the way to do that was to put the wash down first and then put this paint down on top of the washed areas. I'm going to spend extra time on his face, so we will just sort of block in all these other areas here. Now this is definitely the time where I would skip forward in the video, but this is where I get to talk a little bit about this character in the game. And I can tell you, Gloomhaven is an incredible game. If you're watching this video, you most likely already have played Gloomhaven. But if you are just one of my subscribers and you like listening to someone talk while you're painting, first off, thank you. That's awesome. Second off, if you haven't played Gloomhaven, you really should try it. Sure, it's not going to be for everybody. Not everyone is going to like every single game. If that was the case, there would only be one game out there. But I thought I wouldn't like Gloomhaven, and then I tried it, and it was excellent. So remember, when you're painting any model, it won't look right for a really long time. So right now, this guy looks pretty not right. So he started off looking better than he does right now, and I know that. So I know that, like, when you were looking at how this model looked with just the wash on, he actually looked more complete than he does now, and that's okay. But he was not the color I wanted him to be. So if he's not the color I want him to be, then we're not going to worry about what he looks like, even if he does look pretty cool. Because that's not the point. The point isn't just to make him look good. The point isn't to make him look right. The point isn't to make him look like the artwork. The point is that I'm going to make him look the way I want him to look, because he is my miniature. I'm being a little bit faster here just to see if there's really any difference, because I've kind of like, I was trying to be very careful in the beginning here, and then I'm noticing the spots where I've been a little bit rougher look exactly the same. So maybe I'm taking too much time here and I could go a little bit quicker. Yeah, I think you can just go quicker, and then just don't push hard with your brush. I think that's the key. And as you can see, I'm staying, the reason I'm trying to do that is because I want the darkness in the recesses to stay there. And then also his knee pads that we're going to turn into sapphires later. I am not ready to throw any blue on there. I want to watch some videos myself before I get to that, of how people paint gemstones. And then you can see my brush is starting to split now that I've been a little bit rough with it. Yeah, now that I've been a little rough, it's starting to split and everything there, but there we go. So it looks like, and this is part of the painting process, kind of the thing that I also really was interested in showing, and I always want to talk about it every single time, but there isn't enough time in the videos the way I was making them before, but now I've got time to talk about them, is that sometimes you reiterate as you're painting. So, like, I did the wash in order to see all the lines on him. And now I'm sort of just painting over that wash, which kind of means that that wash wasn't that important in the first place. Now, if I were to paint this again, would I start with the wash? Yeah, I think so still. I think so still, because it definitely did its job in letting me see very clearly all the areas of this very detailed little rock man. So I think that that's an important part, is to be able to see all of those details. But what we want to do, well, like what I'm trying to do here though, is make sure that the paint is going on thin enough that the dark spots or the dark lines on his skin still shine through. And those will get pumped and boosted later on when we come back and we're doing the highlights of the much brighter blues. So yeah, it took about 20 minutes for everything here to dry. Just going through and yeah, now you can see I'm just sort of speeding up overall because there really isn't a point in being super careful on this when I want to change him out of the color that he is right now. That's the fun of all this. Make a mistake and see how to fix it. Oh, I gotta clean off my brush here. Every once in a while you wanna, even if you're using the same color, clean off your brush and start over, because it'll just get too caked up on there. Add some more water in here. Alrighty. I'll move up to his face here. You want to make sure that the color stays even as well. So if you have more paint on in one area than another area, make sure you go back and smooth that out so that every area is the same tone of whatever color you're using. Whether you're using blue or if you want your Rockman to be purple or red, doesn't matter. Paint them whatever you want. Alright. So now you can see he is vibrant blue. Vibrant blue. So we're going to let that dry. Trying to see if there's anything I need to really fix before I let this dry. And yeah, we have that color right there is not coming through right. A little bit on this leg. So there we go. You see, I make mistakes too, which was that I shouldn't have washed him before painting him the base color that I wanted him to actually be. Luckily, that was the shortest part of the first episode. So, there you go. Just make sure when you do yours, don't start with the wash. Hopefully, you're not grabbing your model and painting at the exact same time. So, now what am I doing? Okay, we're going to start to highlight up his loincloth area. What we want to do is just grab some of this yellow and mix it into the side here of the brown. Want to make sure that your brush stays wet. And definitely don't want nearly as much paint on there as we had a second ago. Let's see. Just like that. We're going to come through now, and this we are going to do a detail level. So this we want to paint on just the upper surfaces, leaving that dark brown in all of the recesses. Now, depending on how bright you want this to go, and depending on how many layers you want to do and how smooth you want the transitions to be, that's going to be how many layers you do answers all of those questions. So if you do 5 or 6 layers as you're working up to a more orange color like I am, then it's going to be really, really smooth in transition. If you try to just go straight into the orange, it's going to be much more jarring. It's going to add a lot more orange to it here. Make sure that you keep it flowing. Always just thin your brush out and then go on it again. Because so little paint is going on, because you've got it thinned down and you're only doing one quick pass, it dries very, very quickly. If yours isn't drying quickly, then either you've added something to it or you've got your paint really thick. As we talked in the last one, having thick paint is not necessarily a bad thing on its own. But I would say that once you start getting into more of the detail like we are right now, highlighting up stuff, that's when you want to shift to ensuring that you have much thinner paint. You can already see the loincloth is starting to turn orange here. Alrighty. We're going to take more orange. Mix that in there, and then do the same thing again. And each time that we're doing this, we're painting slightly less of the loincloth. We're not going as far down on it, staying closer to the top here. Definitely focusing on any of the really large flat areas. Just like that one there. We're still not bright enough yet to be focusing on like a pure highlight, but just like that. And now you've got, at any time, if you still have your base colors there, that's why you never want to mix them 100%, but you can go back and get all your base colors in there. Like, you don't want to take all this orange and mix it all in one big giant pot there. You want to make sure that you have access to all of your colors at any time so that you can fix any mistakes. So I can see here that this did not get great coverage, and so it's showing through as kind of gray. And then definitely, I don't know if you can see it on, yeah, you can see it on the camera there. Right in there, it did not get covered. Okay. Alrighty, so gonna give that a second to dry, and we're gonna move on to my next area that I want to work on. Oops. And that is with khaki. Let's throw a little khaki in here. Don't need a ton. Make sure it's nice and thin. And this is going to be for his wraps up here. So you can see I'm painting really, really thin lines. You do not want to use anything except for the tip. You want to make sure that it looks like that there is wrap. If you push just a little bit too much, it'll become like a blob. And that is not what you are going for. So as you can see here, I need to do some touch-ups. And that's okay. I'm going to touch this guy up over and over and over again until he's exactly what we want. So I kind of said we were going to do the skin on this one, but now that I painted him this dark blue, I may actually wash him one more time and then highlight from there. So I might do the standard one. So I did the highlight first or the wash first, which, you know, I do that on some of the minis. I don't really have a standard way of painting. So here he is so far. I don't really have a standard way of painting. So I think overall, what I like to do the most is just whatever I see that I want to work on, that's what I work on, really. So let's grab a little bit more of this to bring in there. We don't want it to be too much, but this is going to be pretty orange now, and we're going to keep this as kind of the highlights here. Right in like that. So what this has done is made this orange toned. It's not quite orange yet. There's still a lot of brown. But what we do need to do is then bring some white into the orange once we get to the actual highlight stage. And that will really make that pop. But we'll do that after. And we'll probably only do maybe 2 layers of that to really bring it out. So we've got the khaki on the wraps waiting there. We've got his skin is pretty much dry, but we need to touch up any areas that have not been hit, like right in here, and make sure everything stays nice and smooth. And I think I'm gonna call it on this video, but I am going to wash him one more time. So I still have my wash here. I am going to wash him one more time with the Drakenhof Nightshade. So if you have already put your Drakenhof Nightshade away, I'm sorry. If you want to do it exactly like me, you got to bring it back out and wash him one more time. It is going to darken him down, but we'll just brighten him back up afterwards. It's just that, like, now I feel like I've lost too much of the color. So that's how this iterative process goes. Alright, everybody. See you in episode 3.
New outro, I know. If you want to watch more in this series, click right here. If you would like to watch another video in a completely different series, click right here. And if you'd like an easy way to subscribe, other than clicking down below, even though it's right there and it says subscribe, you can click on this little picture right here. That also works.